On our wedding night, the white moonlight was crying on the phone, saying she had a fever, and he turned around to leave. I stopped him, but he slapped me and said, "Don't cause trouble." I didn't cry. I took off my wedding ring and laid down the divorce agreement I had already written in the newlywed room. The glaring red characters for double happiness covered the walls. I was wearing an elaborate shoshi attire and sitting on the edge of the bed, rubbing my sore ankles. We had poured wine all day, exhausted to the point where my bones felt like they would crumble. Shenyang had just come out of the bathroom, his hair still damp at that moment. His phone on the bedside table rang urgently, the screen flashing 2 characters, Yin Yin. Shenyang paused in his motion of drying his hair with a towel, almost reflexively answering the call. "What's wrong, Yin Yin? Why are you crying? Tell me slowly." His tired, irritable tone instantly softened into extreme, tense gentleness upon hearing the other person's voice. On the other end, Song Yin's sobbing sounded especially clear in the silent bridal room. "Ah Yang, I have a fever. I feel so sick. The power's out at home. I'm afraid of the dark alone. Can you come and check on me?" Song Yin was Shenyang's first love, the white moonlight he never managed to forget. Years ago, they broke up due to a misunderstanding. Then Shenyang met me and said I was gentle and patient, a good woman fit for marriage. We dated for 5 years and finally walked in today. I entered the hall of marriage. I had once thought that 5 years of companionship would be enough to warm a stone. "Don't be afraid, I'll come right over." Without another word, Shenyang tossed aside the towel, grabbed the car keys and his coat from the sofa, and headed out. "Shenyang," I suddenly stood up. The ankle sent a sharp ache, but I paid no mind. I spread my arms wide, blocking the doorway to the bedroom. My eyes reddened, and my voice trembled uncontrollably. "Tonight is our wedding night, and there are relatives who haven't left outside the door. You're leaving your new bride to keep your ex-girlfriend company. Once you walk out that door, we're done." Shenyang's face was full of irritation, his brows knotted into a tight crease. "Lin Wn, can you stop making a scene at this time? Yin Yin is burning up to 39 degrees, she's alone and in trouble in Haicheng, a matter of life and death, and you still want to quarrel and be jealous. If she has a fever, call 120. If she's afraid of the dark, you can light a candle." I gritted my teeth, refusing to budge an inch. "Shenyang, I am your lawful wife, get out of the way." Shenyang's patience had finally run dry. He shoved me with one hard push. I staggered, trying to grab his sleeve, but he turned around, utterly furious, and waved his hand back. Smack! A crisp slap rang out in the quiet bridal chamber. No blood, but it was a full-strength blow from an adult man in a fit of rage. I was knocked to the hard wooden floor. My left cheek went numb at once, followed by a burning pain. My ears were buzzing, and my vision briefly blurred with after-images. Shenyang himself froze for a moment. He glanced at his hand, then at me on the ground. A hint of panic flashed in his eyes. But as he listened to Song Yin's feeble sobs on the phone, he finally gritted his teeth and said, "I told you not to make trouble earlier. You go to sleep first. I'll come back after I confirm she's fine." Bang! The door slammed shut. I sat on the cold floor, clutching my swollen left cheek. The tinnitus gradually faded, replaced by a deathly silence. I didn't cry hysterically like in a TV drama, nor did I smash things. I simply sat there with extreme calm, gazing at the giant wedding photo on the wall, in which we were smiling brilliantly. At the very moment that slap landed, the 5-year sentiment filter I had for him shattered into powder. I slowly stood up, walked to the dressing table, took off the elaborate wedding dress, and changed into the most ordinary casual clothes. I pulled out my suitcase, packing only a few sets of everyday clothes and the tablet I use for drawing illustrations. Before leaving, I slid the wedding ring off my ring finger and, along with the house keys, placed them neatly on the coffee table. Our 5 years of relationship, at this moment, cleanly and decisively came to an end. At noon the next day, Shenyang finally pushed open the door to the bridal chamber. Looking utterly exhausted, his shirt was wrinkled at the collar. There lingered a hint of sweetness that did not belong to me. When changing shoes, he habitually glanced toward the kitchen. Back when he stayed up late or drank, I would cook up a nourishing pumpkin porridge in advance for him to drink hot when he returned. But today, the house was cold, the stove cold, with no sign of life. Where did Lin Wn disappear to? Not cooking. Shenyang frowned as he walked into the living room, only to be greeted by an empty coffee table and that lonely wedding ring. Beneath the ring lay a divorce agreement with signatures already affixed. Shenyang's face instantly darkened. He suddenly seized the agreement, and after recognizing the two delicate signatures, a ferocious anger shot straight to the top of his head. He pulled out his phone and decisively dialed my number. The ring finally connected after a long time of ringing. Lin Wn, have you had enough of your fuss? Shenyang roared into the phone, suppressing his anger. I shouldn't have hit you last night. I was too reckless and lost control in the heat of the moment. But you left home on your wedding day the very next day and even brought out a divorce agreement. Do you want to make both families laugh at you? Just come back immediately. He didn't even apologize properly, still thinking I was making a scene about threatening him with divorce and forcing him to bow. I'm sitting in a one-bedroom apartment I rented before the wedding, sunlight pouring through the window onto the desk. I'm preparing tomorrow's craft materials for the kindergarten kids. I put my phone on speaker and set it aside. My voice is so calm that even I'm surprised. Shenyang, I didn't make a scene. As I say that, I cut a piece of colored paper with scissors. From the moment you laid a hand on me for another woman, you've been nothing but a violent, worthless person in my eyes. I have OCD. I would never recycle garbage. Wn Lin, don't act high and mighty with me. Because of Yin Yin's acute pneumonia last night, I went to take care of her out of friendship. What exactly are you angry about? Shenyang was still making excuses. I cut in calmly. I don't care whether you took care of her because of pneumonia or gastroenteritis. I've read the divorce agreement. This house was bought with your pre-marital money. I want nothing. I will leave with nothing but myself. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Entrance, will go file for the cooling off period of the divorce. You're dreaming. I'm not going. Shenyang was livid. Not going. Then I'll immediately go to court to divorce, and submit the audio evidence of you abandoning your wife on your wedding night to accompany your ex-girlfriend, and of your domestic violence toward me. If you want the Shen family to lose face across Haicheng, you can try. After saying this, I didn't give him a chance to retort, hung up the phone directly, and blocked him. The world was finally quiet. I took a deep breath of the air in the small apartment carried the scent of sunlight, free from Shenyang's suffocating rules and no longer needing to be careful to please anyone. I felt an unprecedented sense of ease. I am not only Shenyang's wife, I am Lin Wn as well. I have a beloved kindergarten teaching job and a part-time illustration gig for children's books, which is enough to support myself. This cup of warm water named Shenyang, I finally jumped out of it on Monday morning. I wore a mask and covered the remaining red marks on my left cheek with foundation before appearing at the kindergarten sunflower class on time. Teacher Lin, good morning. A group of soft, doughy little kids swarmed towards me, instantly healing all my fatigue. In the class, there was a 3-year-old boy named Chen Chen. He was plump and cute with big eyes, but somewhat introverted and timid, not fond of talking. During the break, a mischievous chubby boy named Hao Hao grabbed his building blocks and pushed him. Chen Chen sat on the carpet. He didn't cry out loud, only his eyes reddened and his mouth pursed. His small hand tightly clutched the hem of his clothes, looking very heart-wrenching. I hurried over, picked him up, and gently patted his back. Chen Chen, don't cry, Teacher Lin is here. Let's go talk to Hao Hao and remind him that toys should be shared by everyone. Okay. Under my patient consolation, Chen Chen finally buried his face in my neck and softly whispered, "Thank you, Teacher Lin." After school in the afternoon, I held Chen Chen's hand and he stood at the kindergarten gate, waiting for my parents. Chen Chen, a clear, deep, and melodious voice, as mellow as the low string of a cello, sounded from not far away. I looked up and saw a tall and straight man walking over. He was wearing a black trench coat of excellent texture, a neat white shirt underneath, and gold-rimmed glasses on his nose. There was a coolness about him that seemed to come from years of being exposed to disinfectant and mint-scented air. This is Lu Tingju, the chief pediatric surgeon at Haicheng First People's Hospital. Chen Chen is actually his nephew. After his brother and sister-in-law died in an accident, he, still single, adopted Chen Chen as his own. Mr. Lu, you've come to pick up Chen Chen. I greeted him with a smile. Chen Chen, seeing Lu Tingju, immediately ran over to hug his leg, while his other small hand clutched my clothes tightly and wouldn't let go. Lu Tingju looked down at Chen Chen, then raised his eyes to meet mine. Behind the thin lenses, a trace of subdued warmth flickered in his deep eyes. Teacher Lin, thank you for your hard work. Chen Chen has been very clingy to you lately. Not at all. Chen Chen is very well behaved. At that moment, a flashy black Porsche screeched to a halt across the road. Shenyang got out of the car. Today, he was deliberately wearing an extremely expensive suit and a limited edition watch on his wrist, striking a proud pose of a successful man. Even more ridiculous, Song Yin also stepped out from Thane the front passenger seat. She walked arm in arm with him as if she had no bones. Shenyang came here to intimidate me. He wanted to tell me in this way that after leaving him, I'm just an ordinary kindergarten teacher. While he remains the aloof President Shen, he even brought Song Yin, trying to prove that their relationship is above board. Shenyang walked up to me, frowning as he scanned my plain work clothes. His tone was scornful. Calm down yet. If so, pack your things and go back with me. This lousy job only earns a little money a month. Is it worth lingering here? I looked at him as if watching a jumping clown. Song Yin stood to the side, covering her mouth and performatively coughing twice. She softly said, Miss Lin, please don't blame Yang. I haven't been feeling well these days. He's not at ease, so he came with me to see a doctor. Please don't divorce him because of me. However, her fragile appearance, coupled with the intentional coughing, exuded a green tea aura that could spread for miles. Before I could answer, Lu Tingju beside me suddenly frowned slightly. As a top-tier doctor, he has a severe professional compulsive disorder. He coldly assessed Song Yin from head to toe. His tone was calm, yet every word was sharp. This young lady, your breath is strong, your complexion is rosy, you're coughing without phlegm, there's no chest resonance, and your heart rate is within the normal range. From a medical perspective, you don't even have the most basic upper respiratory infection symptoms. Lu Tingju pushed up his gold-rimmed glasses, his eyes filled with unhidden ridicule. If you want to fake an illness to gain sympathy, I suggest you study acting at a drama school. Don't come to the kindergarten gate and pollute the air, scaring my child. This highly professional medical appraisal slapped Song Yin across the face like a resounding slap. Her face instantly turned red, the feigned coughing got stuck in her throat, and she was at a loss as to what to do. Her eyes welled up with real tears. What are you saying? I clearly have a fever. If you're not lying, go to the hospital for a blood test and a C-reactive protein check, and you'll know. Lu Tingju held Chen Chen with one arm and didn't even glance at her. That high IQ, top student's rebuke to her instantly lowered her status, turning Song Yin into a worthless person in a flash. Shenyang felt his face flush with embarrassment and pointed at Lu Tingju in a fit of anger. Who the hell are you, Lin Wn? Is this why you're in such a hurry to divorce? Did you go outside and find a wild man? Banged this time. I decisively and cleanly slammed the thick picture book in my hand onto Shenyang's chest. Shenyang, you're trash yourself. Don't assume everyone is as rotten as you. I looked at him coldly. Dr. Lu is Chen Chen's guardian and a cultured gentleman. Please take your moonlight white and get out of my sight immediately. Shenyang felt the disgust in my eyes pierce him. He gritted his teeth, glared fiercely at Lu Tingju, then dragged Song Yin, who was still wiping her tears, and sulked into the car watching the Porsche fade away. Tu turned to Lu Tingju with an apologetic look and said, Dr. Lu, sorry for making a fool of you and dragging you into this. It's fine. Lu Tingju's tone remained cool, but his eyes toward me softened a little unnaturally. When dealing with those acting patients in medicine, stating the facts is the best approach. Teacher Lin, if you need legal assistance, I have many lawyer friends. I paused, then smiled gratefully. Thank you. However, Song Yin's scheming did not stop because of this embarrassment. Instead, it made her feel an unprecedented crisis. She noticed that while Shenyang was bringing her along, he kept his gaze fixed on me. If I and Shenyang truly divorced, according to the Shen family's rules, it would be impossible for a woman like her with no backing. To enter the door, she must completely step on me, ruin my reputation, and destroy me. 3 days later, I was in the classroom helping the kids with crafts when the principal somberly called me into the office. Opening the door, I saw Song Yin sitting on the sofa, crying so hard she was out of breath. "Teacher Lin, this Miss Song has filed a real name complaint against you with the Education Bureau and our nursery." The principal sighed, pushing the complaint letter in front of me. "She says that you insulted her verbally at the school gate a few days ago over a personal grievance and even shoved her, causing her condition to worsen. Our kindergarten has always paid great attention to teacher ethics. Principal, I did not push her." I trembled with anger. "She is lying. Am I lying?" Song Yin cried even more pitiably, looking aggrieved. "Lin Wn, I know you envy a Yang for caring about me, but how can you be so vicious? I've been getting 4 drips in the hospital every day these past few days. Since you've been getting 4 drips every day, Miss Song, where did the strength come from for this groundless accusation just now?" The door of the office was suddenly pushed open, and Lu Tingju walked in wearing a neat white lab coat. Today, as a specially invited expert from a top-tier hospital, he happened to be leading a team to the kindergarten for the annual physical examinations for the children. Lu Tingju walked straight to the principal's desk and placed the tablet in his hand down. "Principal, did Teacher Lin push someone? The surveillance will show clearly." Lu Tingzhou's slender fingers tapped on the screen, bringing up the kindergarten's high-definition surveillance footage from the entrance that day. The footage clearly showed that I and Song Yin kept a distance of at least 1 meter at all times. With no physical contact whatsoever, Song Yin's face instantly turned pale. "The surveillance might not capture the whole picture. You insulted me, and even found you, a stranger, to humiliate me." Lu Tingju let out a cold laugh, pulled a document from the pocket of his white coat, and slammed it down on the desk. "Miss Song, these are your medical records I just had retrieved from the City First People's Hospital." Lu Tingju looked down at her haughtily, his gaze oppressively suffocating. "The records show you were indeed in the hospital these days, but you weren't administered anti-inflammatory drugs. You were given the most ordinary glucose nutrition solution because all your blood indicators are extremely healthy. There is simply no so-called acute pneumonia. Not only that, during your hospital stay, you repeatedly asked the nurses to take photos of your 4 for WeChat moments. Miss Song, you are wasting medical resources." Song Yin was left speechless, trembling all over, like a plucked chicken. Lu Tingju turned his head to the director, with an overwhelming presence and a tone full of unyielding protective chivalry. He said, "Director, Teacher Lin is my son's favorite and, in my experience, the most responsible teacher. If someone wants to use such despicable means to smear her and destroy her career, then my private legal team would be more than happy to accompany Miss Song to take this case to the end. The punishment for defamation is enough to put her behind bars for several months." The director immediately grasped the seriousness of the situation and harshly issued an eviction order to Song Yin, expressing absolute trust in me. Song Yin covered her face and fled the office in a humiliating manner. I stood in place, watching Lu Tingzhou's tall back, and in my heart, a section that had frozen like ice due to Shenyang suddenly. The curtains were slightly racked, letting in a trace of warm light. As Song Yin's clumsy performance at kindergarten was exposed, I decisively filed for divorce in court. Shenyang finally felt the seriousness of the situation. During this 1-month cooling off period for divorce, Shenyang's life had completely fallen into chaos. She was used to me keeping her life orderly. When I came back from social events, the house would always have just right warm water and wine-dissolving soup. When she had a stomach problem, I would slowly simmer a 3-hour pumpkin millet porridge on low heat to nurture her intestines and stomach. But now, that enormous apartment feels cold and lifeless, and Song Yin, under the pretense of taking care of her, moved in. Yet Song Yin is utterly useless at housework. All she does is demand money to buy bags and buy expensive clothes online. She doesn't even know how to use a washing machine that late at night. Shenyang suffered a severe bout of stomach ulcers due to days of irritability and social obligations. She writhed in bed, sweating cold, clutching her stomach, and struggled to tell Song Yin beside her, who was applying a face mask, "Yin Yin, my stomach hurts, help me cook some porridge, okay, the kind of pumpkin porridge Lin Wn used to make." Song Yin rolled her eyes and impatiently peeled off the mask. "Yang, I'm so tired already. You want me to go to the kitchen? The kitchen fumes will hurt my skin. I'll order you something instead." Half an hour later, the deli very soon arrived, a heavily oil-laden, spicy wonton in chili oil and an extremely greasy fried rice. "It's all I have late at night. Just eat something, will you?" Song Yin dumped the takeout on the bedside table and went back to sleep. Shenyang looked at the chili oil wontons. A surging wave of cramps hit her stomach, and finally, she couldn't hold back her nausea. With a cry, she vomited a mouthful of sour liquid. Then everything went black before her eyes, and she fainted from the pain. In the end, their housekeeper noticed something was wrong, called emergency services at night, and sent her to the emergency room. And when Shenyang lay in the ER hooked up to fours, with not a single cup of water within reach, I was enjoying an unprecedented sense of peace and warmth on weekend evenings. At Lu Tingzhou's invitation, I came to his upscale apartment downtown to give Chen Chen an art experience class. The apartment's decor, like Lu Tingzhou himself, is minimalist and clean, yet every corner exudes warm, delicate details. I sit with Chen Chen in front of the living room floor-to-ceiling windows, painting a big blue whale on canvas with non-toxic paints. Chen Chen smiles with great happiness, her little face smeared with paint, her giggles echoing around the room. And Lu Tingzhou, this chief physician, usually quiet and stern in the hospital, now takes off his white coat and suit jacket, ties a grey cotton apron, and skillfully bustles in the open kitchen. The range hood hums softly, and the scent-the aroma of sweet and sour ribs and steamed sea bass fills the air. This is real human warmth. "Wash your hands and eat." Lu Tingzhou carried out the last dish of soup, his voice gentle. The dining table was sumptuous and nutritionally balanced. Lu Tingzhou very naturally used the public chopsticks to pick a piece of the boneless sea bass fillet and placed it in my bowl. "Teacher Lin, have a taste and see if it suits your palate." "Thank you, Dr. Lu, this is delicious." I took a bite. The fish was tender, and the heat and cooking were handled incredibly well. I suddenly remembered the 5 years with Shenyang. He had never stepped into the kitchen, always sitting at the dining table as if it were a given, criticizing, "Today's soup is too salty, the fish isn't fresh enough." He bought my labor with money but never showed a shred of understanding. While we were eating, Chen Chen's mouth was stained with sweet and sour sauce. He suddenly put down his little spoon, with those huge black grape-like eyes bright and earnest. He looked at me and said, "Teacher Lin, your handmade things are the most fun, and you're the prettiest. Would you be my mom in the future?" I was taken aback, my cheeks flushing red in an instant. I hurriedly handed Chen Chen a napkin to wipe his mouth. "Chen Chen, children say innocent things. A teacher is a teacher. You can't call me that." I slyly glanced at Lu Tingzhou opposite me, thinking he would be as stern as usual in correcting the child. After all, in this society as a single father, he is always particularly sensitive about this topic. But Lu Tingzhou didn't stop Chen Chen. He paused with his chopsticks, and a faint pink tinged his usually sharp and cool face. At the ears, he looked at me through his gold-rimmed glasses, his gaze focused and deep. "Chen Chen indeed speaks like a child, but I do have this plan. Lin Wn, if you're willing, I hope you'll give me a chance to pursue you." My heart skipped more than half a beat at that moment. Shenyang lay in the emergency room all day. The severe gastric ulcer nearly exhausted him. Spasms of pain curled him up on the narrow bed, and cold sweat pooled on his forehead. He habitually wanted to reach for someone's hand nearby, to hear that gentle "Yang, the porridge is almost ready, bear with it a little longer." But when he opened his eyes, the ward was empty, only the soft dripping of the 4-bottle remained. A nurse came in to change the dressing, her tone cool. "Mr. Shen, where is your family?" "They were here signing the surgery papers." "How come there is no one here now?" "The medical bill balance is insufficient, remember to pay it." Shenyang's heart sank. he pulled out his phone to call Song Yi, and after ringing for a long time, it was answered. The background noise was loud music and a salesperson's enthusiastic pitch. "Why, Yang, didn't the doctor say you're out of danger? The hospital's antiseptic smell makes me dizzy and nauseous. I'm stepping out for some air and to shop at SKP with my besties. Buy a few new bags, to lift my mood. You, big man, rest there by yourself for a bit. Be good, I'll come back to see you after I finish my manicure." Song Enyang hung up the phone. With a delicate pout, Shen Yang, listening to the harsh dial tone on his phone, felt for the first time a kind of absurd emotion. Is this the so-called delicate, unable to care white moonlight that he would risk his life to protect? When he was lying on a hospital bed with his life on the line, she was out shopping, getting her nails done, and complained that the smell of the hospital was unpleasant. Because Song Yi didn't go to pay the bill, Shen Yang could only endure the excruciating pain. Supporting himself against the wall as he hobbled downstairs to the payment desk, passing the hospital's second-floor smoking area, he suddenly stopped in his tracks. Song Yi stood around the corner, neither in SKP nor out shopping with so-called close friends, holding a cigarette in hand, speaking viciously into her phone. "Hey, that gullible fool is in the ER. I'm so tired of him. His stomach hurts every day, like a useless person. On our wedding night, I bet with the girls that he would run out for my call and leave his bride behind, and sure enough he came. Haha, that slap on Lin Wan's face felt great. Don't worry, Shen Yang has nothing else but money and stupidity. When he's discharged, I'll come up with a reason that we have a high-interest loan at home, make him pay 2 million. Once I've saved enough money, I'll go abroad to find Yu. That Shen Yang, he's not even worth the tip of your finger." Shen Yang gripped the wall tiles so tightly that his nails turned stark white. He felt like a fool brought before a tribunal. In 5 years, all his kindness and guilt, even that slap on their wedding night, in Song Yi's eyes, had turned into a poisonous game of money and vanity. His mind frantically conjured Lin Wan's face once. When ill, Lin Dublin never complained of pain. Even with a high fever, she would first help him iron his tie. But he had personally shattered the girl who used to look at him with warmth. The collapse of his faith happened in an instant. Shen Yang did not wake Song Yi. He staggered back to the ward and immediately dialed his assistant. "Check Song Yi, inspect all her bank statements, examine her private life for the past 5 years, then notify the bodyguards to throw her out of my bridal chamber. Not a single piece of trash is allowed to remain." That night, Song Yi returned to the villa in a designer outfit. She was greeted by 2 expressionless black-clad bodyguards and a pile of expensive clothes tossed at the gate, covered in mud. "Ah, Yang, what are you doing?" Song Yi cried, banging on the door and weeping hysterically in front of the floor-to-ceiling window on the 2nd floor. Shen Yang's face was ashen. He stared at the woman downstairs whom he once regarded as a precious treasure. Now, he only felt that she was a greedy, ugly venomous snake. He suddenly drew the curtains, and in the darkness, he let out a suppressed and separate howl. The day before the end of the divorce cooling-off period, a light rain fell in. "Hi Cheng." I stepped out from the kindergarten gate, holding a simple, transparent umbrella, and I saw the man waiting at the school gate, looking as distressed as ever. "Shen Yang. He is no longer the aloof Mr. Shen. He is wrapped in a wrinkled coat, with an emaciated, haggard body, a scruffy beard, and blood-shot eyes. In his hand, he clutches a bouquet of white baby's breath, the flower I casually said I liked on our first date 5 years ago. Wan." Shen Yang sees me, a pitiful glimmer suddenly bursting in his eyes. He is afraid to come close and trembles as he speaks. "I found out, Yin, Song Yin, she's a liar. She deceived me from the start. The wedding night was my fault. I hate myself enough to kill myself for that slap at you." I pause, calmly watching him, and my heart doesn't stir at all. I don't even feel a hint of hatred, I just feel tired. Wan. I threw away all her things. We won't see her again. Shen Yang's tone is urgent, as if clutching a lifeline. "Let's not divorce, okay? Cancel tomorrow's proceedings, start over, I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. You like being a teacher? Then I'll fund the best private kindergarten." "Shen Yang," I replied softly, Just because garbage was thrown out doesn't mean the place is clean. Some wounds aren't cured by a single "I'm sorry." I looked at the starry flower in his hand. This flower is beautiful. But what I like now is the rosemary that Dr. Liu planted on the balcony by hand. It can treat insomnia. But you only make me nauseous. Lin Wn. Shen Yang's eyes reddened. As he tried to pull my hand, "You can't be so heartless. 5 years. How many 5-year periods can life have? Have you really fallen for someone with the surname Liu? He has a child. And if you go back, you'll be a stepmother. Can there be happiness?" Just as his hand was about to touch the edge of my sleeve, a stronger, faintly cold-smelling hand precisely gripped his wrist. The moment Lu Tingju appeared, he wasn't wearing a white lab coat, dressed in a black couture suit. His cold and handsome aura became even more prominent. With a slight exertion, Shen Yang's face contorted in pain and he staggered back a few steps. Lu Tingju casually took the umbrella from my hand and held it over my head. "Mr. Shen, starting tomorrow, you will legally be a passerby. Morally, entangling with someone else's girlfriend is an extremely uncouth act." His voice was as cold as ice, carrying an unquestionable authority. "Lu Tingju, do you think you're a doctor and can lecture me?" Shen Yang roared. "I'm not qualified to lecture you. I'm just stating facts." Lu Tingju adjusted his pince-nez glasses, his tone almost exasperatingly calm. "Mr. Shen, your emotions are unstable. The probability of a second perforation in your stomach is 68%. I recommend returning to the hospital soon. After all, Wanwan is very busy. She'll accompany me and Chen Chen to pick out wedding rings. And there's no time to watch you perform." Shen Yang stood there rigidly. The baby's breath in his hand fell onto the cement ground during the scuffle and was crushed into a puddle of mud by passing vehicles. He watched helplessly as Lu Tingju protected me and naturally put his arm around my shoulder and walked towards the car by the roadside. I never looked back from beginning to end. A belated affection is more worthless than grass. A few months after the divorce, Shen Yang completely disappeared from my life. According to the kindergarten principal, there were problems with the business of the Shen Group, and he himself was hospitalized several times due to neurasthenia. With the company of Lu Tingju and Chen Chen, I lived a stable life I had never experienced before. During the day, I was teacher Lin, loved by the children. At night, I was an illustrator working on picture books at my desk. My picture book, Chen Chen's Adventure received a high royalty, and I even bought my own car over the weekend. Lu Tingju took us to a newly opened upscale parent-child restaurant to celebrate. The restaurant was bustling with people, full of laughter and cheer. "Mom, I want to eat that little strawberry bunny." Chen Chen sat in my lap, pointing at the dessert on the menu, speaking in a soft and childish voice. The way she calls me Mom has long since become natural. Under Lu Tingju's guidance, Chen Chen has long regarded me as the most important elder woman in her life. I gently wiped the cream from the corner of her mouth with a napkin, then kissed her on the forehead with a smile and said, "The good dad will go queue to buy it. Let's wait a little while." At that moment, a commotion erupted at the restaurant entrance. "Mr. Shen, you can't come in. This place has been booked for a parent-child event." As the staff's admonition fell, a humpbacked man with half-gray hair stumbled in. Shen Yang. He hadn't been seen for just a few months. But now he looked 10 years older. His once ambitious brow now showed only dead silence and desolation. He seemed to sense something. His gaze among the crowd locked precisely on me, and 2 lines of tears suddenly welled up in his cloudy eyes. Wanwan, Shen Yang, disregarding the security guard's objections, knelt straight down in front of my table with a thud. This drew complete silence from the restaurant as countless curious and scornful eyes turned toward us. "Wife, please, go back with me," he cried, with snot and tears streaming. The once proud Shen Yang now was like a child who had lost the world. "That home is empty. Every night when I close my eyes, I see you getting that slap. I've handed Song Ying over to the police. I don't want anything, I just want you." He trembled as he produced a thick stack of documents. "This is Shen Corporation's entire share transfer agreement, all for you. Please, just look back at me." I sat in the soft booth, holding the delicately carved morning dawn in my arms. She shyly nestled into my embrace and asked, "Mom, why is that strange uncle crying?" I patted her back and gave a comforting smile. Then I looked down at Shenyang, who was kneeling on the ground, his dignity completely gone. I didn't get angry, I just let out a cold laugh, my tone as calm as if discussing the weather. "Shenyang, do you think kneeling and paying money will make the whole world forgive you? Sorry, it's too late." I lowered my head to glance at the child in my arms, then turned to look at Lu Tingju, who was quickly returning with a tray in hand. "This child calls me Mom, his biological father is 10,000 times better than you." Each word hit him like the last nails hammered into his heart. He can not only cook a good meal but also heal people's hearts, and most importantly, he would never lay a finger on me in this life. Shenyang, as if struck by lightning, stared fixedly at morning dawn in my arms. He had always believed my claim that I had a child was just talk, until he saw me deftly caring for this child who isn't biologically mine but is more like mine, and saw the love I directed toward Lu Tingju when I looked at him. His world completely collapsed. When Lu Tingju approached, Shenyang was being dragged out by security as if he were a dead dog, still shouting frantically, "Lin Wn, you can't marry anyone else, you are mine, we registered." Lu Tingju naturally gave a kiss on my forehead, then turned to Shenyang with a cold and predatory look. "Mr. Shen, if you continue this hysteria caused by brain cortex damage, I don't mind using my medical background to personally send you to a psychiatric hospital for a few years of recuperation. I think the Shen family's shareholders would be happy to see the mad heir hand over power." His voice wasn't loud, but carried a chilling menace. Shenyang, like a rooster with its throat squeezed, suddenly went mute, only able to watch the heavy glass door slowly close. Inside, there was the warm hubbub of people. Outside, it was the endless winter he had brought upon himself. A week later, I received a call from the police. Song Ying had been formally arrested for suspected large-scale fraud and multiple civil lawsuits. It turned out that the male model she kept behind the scenes was a habitual gambler, owing tens of millions in high-interest loans. To repay the debts, Song Ying not only deceived Shenyang, but also borrowed many private loans behind his back. Now that Shenyang had cut off her financial sources, the creditors came knocking. It was said that on the day she was captured, she was harassed on the street by debt collectors, and her proud white moonlight face twisted grotesquely as the implants in her plastic surgery ruptured. She tried to call Shenyang for help, only to get 3 words: "Drop dead." This was their so-called true love. Once money and interests were involved, it was so fragile that it was worth less than waste paper. At this moment, Lu Tingju is accompanying me. Revise the sketches for my new book. The study was softly lit, and Chen Chen had already fallen asleep. His long fingers glided over the tablet, helping me point out the subtle flaws in the layout. "Wanwan, after the picture book is published, shall we go to the Arctic to see the aurora?" Chen Chen said he wants to see polar bears. He wrapped his arms around me from behind, his warm breath brushing my neck. "Dr. Lu, aren't you stopping work? The chief pediatrician is so free." I smiled and leaned back into his embrace. "Is there anything more important than accompanying Mrs. Lu at work?" Lu Tingju nibbled my earlobe. "Have you chosen the ring? I think I may not be able to wait for the wedding day. I want you to fully bear my surname." He rarely professed aloud, but every ounce of affection he gave shone like starlight, illuminating the nights when I had been in darkness. Time flies. In the blink of an eye, 2 years have passed. As the year's most popular illustrator, I attended the book launch. My picture book The Best Dad not only swept the nation but was translated into many languages. I did not become a domineering CEO, yet with the brush in my hand, I gained absolute wealth, freedom, and professional dignity. Behind the launch event, I spotted a strangely eerie figure, a man in tattered clothes, reeking of cheap alcohol, trying to crawl through the side entrance of the venue. Shenyang's Shen Group had gone bankrupt and restructured half a year ago. Due to internal marital accounting, the disputes with Song Ying and subsequent major decision-making mistakes, he was kicked out by the shareholders. Now, Shenyang has become a complete drunk, wandering the streets of Haicheng, clutching a newspaper tightly in his hand. On it is a photo of me, Lu Tingju, and Chen Chen having a picnic in the park. Evening, my gentle Wonwan. He drank while crying and laughing at the photo, his eyes full of madness. He had finally lived himself into a complete joke. After the press conference, the starlight outside was just right. Lu Tingju stood with Morning, who had grown taller, at the bottom of the steps, waiting for me. Mom's here. Morning waved the small red flower in her hand, her face flushed with excitement. Lu Tingju walked up to me, naturally took my bag, and pulled a delicate red velvet jewelry box from his coat pocket. In this bustling square, under a sky full of stars, this cool and noble Dr. Lu knelt on one knee with utmost seriousness. Lin Wn. Lu Tingzhou's voice was clear and beautiful, with a heartbreaking sincerity. You once gave your finest youth to someone unworthy, for the rest of your life. Can you entrust it to me? I want to give Morning a complete home, and I want to be the husband who, no matter what happens, looks at you first and walks towards you. Will you marry me? The passers-by around stopped in their tracks, bursting into warm applause and blessings. I looked at the man in front of me. He understands my gentleness, he guards my bottom line and sees my grievances. He never asks me to be magnanimous, he only softly says, "Don't be afraid, I'm here." My eyes well up a little, I smile and reach out, letting the diamond ring symbolizing eternity slip onto my ring finger. I am willing. From the shadows not far away, Shenyang witnessed this scene. He let out a heart-rending cry and finally sank into a puddle, covering his face and crying out loud. But all of this is no longer my concern. Returning home, Lu Tingju was busy in the kitchen cooking a late-night snack. Chen was drawing the swallow he had seen today in the study. I sat on the sofa, looking at the lights of thousands of homes outside the window, feeling a sense of security and tranquility I had never known before. True love is not the slap on the wedding night, nor the belated kneeling repentance. It is the respect in every meal, the backbone behind each. Don't be afraid. And no matter how noisy the world becomes, there is always someone holding an umbrella, waiting for you to come home in the rain. The wind has stopped, and the moon is perfectly round. My remaining life is finally filled with human fireworks and 10,000 miles of starlight.